swept away by the flood. We ask that you would be with those families, help them, Lord, as they go through the grief. Lord, we know what it's like to have a community devastated by weather. So, Lord, our hearts go out to them. We ask that you bless them. Lord, we thank you for your righteousness. We ask that you watch over us, watch over our leaders, guide them in wisdom, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Supervisor Jones, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll start by recognizing Adrian and Mitchell and Lucian Young to discuss challenges Ms. Mitchell has encountered in her efforts to qualify as an agricultural zoning designation. You can come forward, and when you come forward, just please state your name and address.
I'm Lucian Young. My wife Adrian Mitchell. We're the owners of Kings Forge Steel in North Industrial Park, Harrison County.
I'm Adrian Mitchell as well, and on top of that, we have 43 acres located in Socher that we have a horse breeding farm we've started on. And that's why we're here today, is to discuss getting our barns up and some electricity out there.
Right. I'm Tom Carpenter. I'm filling in for Jim Simpson. I represent the parties here. And with Adrian, what we have as members of the board is there is a unique statute. Mr. Holloman, board attorney, has had that statute for about a week. He's familiar with it, and we are too. The statute essentially exempts farm structures from being subject to the applicable building codes. It's been enacted for some time, but what it does require is an affidavit establishing the fact that it is going to be used for the purposes of a farm structure, and what the purpose and intent for the structure is. In this case, to take care of 15 horses, I think 2 stallions, and brood mares, for purposes of a horse farm. The affidavits were submitted to the county, and Kelly has them, and I think Kelly's been doing a good job looking at them. She's referred these to Tim, and what they're basically looking at doing from the county's end, and Mr. Holman can speak for me if I get it wrong, is establishing an affidavit in general that all people who live in the county who want these farm structures can use, so they have one that's basically in the county's ledger, if you will. So when someone comes up and says, this is what we want to do pursuant to statute, we can get it done. What we're attempting to do is basically get that process followed through, because these buildings are in fact in place, and they need electricity. But in order to get that, of course, Kelly has to sign off on that on behalf of the county to say that, yes, it has met the prerequisites of the affidavits and statutes, and so Coast Electric can now turn on the electrical supply. So that's kind of where we are as of today, and what we were hoping for assistance is in order to get the correct affidavit to us within a reasonable time, because again, we're waiting and trying to get this done so that in turn we can get that signed off by ourselves and the county and get Coast Electric to turn on the electric power. That's simply what we have.
There are 3 structures.
I've also have brought for the supervisors here the Senate Bill 2378 under the state statute 17-2-7, where you would have proof of where we are exempt from the farm structures. I would like to note that in section 1, right through here, also through section 2, 17.2.1 through 17.2.5 is where we are exempt from. So if you don't mind, you can read these at your leisure, but is it okay if I present y'all with these? So
he is in fact giving you Senate Bill 2837.
Yeah.
That was in fact codified into Mississippi Code annotated 17-2-7. And I might add, having talked to Mr. Holloman and Kelly this morning, there is a concern that this structure truly is a farm structure, because as I think Kelly adeptly pointed out, you have to have, if everyone says they're a farm, you know, you only have 1 barn and 1 horse and that's all you have, is it a farm? In this case, through the affidavit that we'll prepare, we can establish that it's a farm because, again, the numbers of animals and horses that are gonna be out there, and the intent is to establish basically a brood farm for horses. And so we can meet the actual factual prerequisites behind, is this a farm as well? And we'll be happy to do so.
Does anyone have
Yeah.
any questions?
Our legislature in its infinite wisdom did not make it very clear as to what a farm structure is, or what a farm is. Obviously, reading it appears to me to be some type of commercial production for a farm, not a barn where I keep my personal horses to ride. That does not qualify in my opinion. But I haven't seen the affidavits. Wait, let me back up, because I just got this late last week. My understanding is there were 3 barns built without a permit and without an affidavit being submitted. Is that correct?
That is correct. And
Okay.
the reason being is because when I went to the permitting office to do that, I was told that they were treating me as if I lived in a subdivision. They told me that I could only have one accessory building and that I had to have house plans in order to get a well. Well, I had no intentions of building a house anytime soon out there. I did need a well. We had to haul water for 3 months from Hal and Melody's place.
But ma'am, the question I was asking is, there was 3 structures built
Yes, they were
without
built.
an affidavit.
Yes, sir.
No
That's
affidavit's
exactly
been
right.
filed. There's been
But
affidavits.
your office failed to
Wait, wait,
provide
wait.
correct
Hold on.
information, sir.
I'm just asking you right now. I'm not being opposition to, I'm trying to find out, okay? There were
Okay.
3 affidavits. There were no affidavits initially submitted, but then y'all did submit subsequent affidavits.
Yes, sir, we have.
That's all I was asking,
Yes,
okay?
sir, we have.
Not challenging you, okay?
We would have done it then,
I'm
but
okay.
nobody told us that's what we needed.
I understand
It's
that.
okay, we're getting there now.
We thought they would know how to do that.
All right,
and
I'm just
Anyway,
trying,
they
so the
didn't.
board, so the board has the full information. Then there was a 4th structure that was going to be built,
Right,
and that's where we are now.
right,
sir.
that's
Is
exactly
whether or
right.
not that has to have an affidavit or not.
And yes, it does, and we have those too.
Okay, and those have been submitted to the
Yes, they have.
affidavits?
Mhm.
I haven't seen those, so we'll have to look at them and see if they qualify. If they qualify, the legislature says they're exempt from the building code with another exception, and that is it must still comply with, this exemption does not apply if it would affect the National Flood Insurance Program and such, whatever that means. So the next question is, does it affect any of the, as Kelly was talking about, velocity zones and things of that nature? I doubt you're in a velocity zone with.
I don't mean to,
You know,
they came out, the, engineer came out and we're in
I didn't believe you were well. so-
no way near close to anything flooding.
But the federal government does strange things sometimes too.
Amen.
We had a piece of property in Jackson County that was 100 feet above sea level, and they claimed it was jurisdictional wetlands.
I'm curious, I haven't read this. Is there any acreage required to qualify as a farm? I mean, it's very difficult to have a farm on half an acre.
Correct.
I'm
I
just
think
curious,
that would
if
be
the
one of the
legislature in
factors.
this wisdom didn't include a acreage requirement.
You may remember when we went through reappraisal back in the mid-80s, they came up with they changed the agriculture exemption to require commercial production of crops. And we went through probably 20 lawsuits and tried about half of them, whether or not the folks were in the business of commercial production of crops.
Or animals, I presume.
Or animals, yeah, but most of those cases, people had gardens and they would want the agriculture exemption, and so it's kind of like that. I'm not sure what the legislature meant, and if the board or the building code's not satisfied as to the definition, maybe we need to request an AG's opinion of say that, what it means. Now, they've testified that, they've stated, we haven't testified it yet, that they were involved in horse breeding, and so, to me, I'm a horse breeder. I owned one time, it was the best thing I ever did when I got rid of those. I owned it, I didn't feed it or ride it. Cost a lot of money, that's all I remember.
They
But
do
if
cost a lot of money.
If they were in the commercial, breeding horses, that would, to me, qualify as farm operation, so. We just have to figure out what the legislature meant by it.
How many acres are in?
43.
43 of the property that we're discussing?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
The problem right now is we're not at a position where the board the board can give advice if it chooses to, but there's no appeal been filed, from the decision. I don't even know if they've actually been denied. But, you know,
If you don't mind, I've been speaking to them,
Yeah.
and I decided that it would be best to have them on the agenda and let them
That's
come and
okay.
tell us everything instead of me trying to direct traffic, because this woman has spent so much of her time going to our office, being told one thing, then another roadblock, then being told another thing, and then at the 9th hour being told, oh no, you needed an affidavit. And it's no projection on our offices by any means, it's a projection on the lack of clarity. And so they also have lots of people here today, right, who
Yes.
she invited, and y'all can raise your hands if you're here for this subject. They have all faced the same kind of blockades
Yeah.
because we don't have a definition. So that's what I wanted to accomplish today.
the board can give advice to the building code as to how it wants that interpreted if it chooses, but there's not really an action to be taken because they have not appealed. But that can be taken care of. The legislature did this in a very haphazard way. It does not appear to have any definitions of what that is. Obviously, they are breeding horses to sell, I assume.
Well,
It
to
does.
show, actually, to
Show.
show, so, what, we put these pole barns up all over the state of Mississippi.
Yeah.
We've done this for a living, he's done it for 30 years. In no other county, except for one, have we had to go through this process.
Yeah.
Because they're all aware of this statute. Why we're here is because Kelly cannot proceed because she doesn't know what to do next. And we figured once we got here and let everyone know what was going on, somebody could give her guidance so she could proceed.
Yeah, that's.
It's pretty simple.
It is pretty
That's what I
simple.
think.
I have a
agree with you, sir.
proposal. I mean, if the state law says that there's no restrictions on it, then there's no restrictions on it.
I said the same thing last week.
It's pretty simple.
Right.
Could I?
Here's, I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
go ahead.
here's a proposal, because I understand the concerns of the county, and obviously I'm concerned against our clients, and that would be, apparently, the county, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're looking to prepare a affidavit for use not only under this circumstance, but in others, because as you can see, it's not just a singular problem. And I don't want to impose times, because it's hard enough for me to figure out what I'm doing in a week. But would it be possible to get an affidavit that we could fill out within a week and then submit that in with the affidavit of information about the intent of the purpose, which is horse breeding, and everything that would go into that, so that then the county could consider it?
I ain't got a problem with it. I hadn't seen the affidavit they filed.
Let's
That
give
makes
them-
law.
Yeah, we have one.
We shouldn't have to do any of that.
We shouldn't have to give y'all permission.
Tom,
It's
I would
state law.
assume the
Thank
you, sir.
affidavit
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
would swear
Thank you.
to the fact that that's a farm.
Yes, sir.
And a farm business.
Yes, sir.
The county's only concern is, and I know this happens, there's a lot of what they call barn dominiums or whatever you wanna call them.
Right.
They
Yes.
convert those
Mhm.
barns into houses. Well, if the electricity's already there, then the code office has no notification or permitting process
Right.
when they start the conversion.
Mhm.
And that would be all the concern that the county has. So if they sign an affidavit that that is a farm, and they're operating it as a farm or a horse barn, if they start that conversion, then they're in violation of that affidavit, then the code office could take action.
Absolutely.
That is correct.
So
Absolutely.
I don't see any problem if they sign the affidavit to that effect. What's the holdup? What's the problem? I guess that's my position. I'm sure,
I won't
I
disagree
can't
with
see
you,
all
sir.
the circumstances that could happen, but I think initially that the affidavit should suffice.
It states what you just said in the law that I just handed to you, that if we was to convert a farm structure into a residential structure, we would have to re-permit it. So it does state what he said
It does say that.
in that. And also, the definition of a farm structure is a structure constructed on a farm. That's and it can be anything from a tractor shed, barns, poultry houses, but not public livestock areas. We do not have public livestock areas.
And Mr. Ladner, I follow exactly what you're saying. We want to cooperate with the county, in order to expedite this through. We would be perfectly happy. We have copies of the affidavits. I understand they've been submitted. If that's sufficient, we just have to have a representative of the county, in this case Kelly, to sign off, so Coast Electric will in fact provide power there.
We need the electrical permit.
Correct. And so that's kind of where we are.
There's
If-
only 3 existing structures, there's one to be built.
Correct.
You need an affidavit on that one also.
Yes,
Absolutely.
she has them.
Yeah.
They're all the same. They're all horse barns, every single one of them.
And so with that being presented, would there be anything else that the county would need?
But I say again, the statute's pretty vague, so it's vague, you have to follow it. I don't think there's a question about that.
Indeed. And
You
this
just have to
is,
be careful that sometimes if somebody's building a house, I mean, a barn for their personal horses,
right,
that's, what we're talking about is compliance with the building code. Whether or not the building has to comply with the building code and fire code and everything else.
Mhm.
The statute exempts it if it's a farm structure, that's the question. So
I mean, it would seem.
what is a farm structure? That's the hard part. It gives a vague description, so
Right.
I don't think you have a choice. The legislature passed the law, they're gonna have to change it.
Right.
And so if they submit the affidavit, obviously the affidavit, not talking about them, but anybody that submits an affidavit to the county to obtain an exemption could be subject to, if that affidavit's not true, the problem, so.
Mhm. Absolutely.
That's the reason they require an affidavit when you submit it.
Mhm.
So I agree, I think that they've submitted the affidavit and otherwise appears qualified, they're entitled to the exemption.
I would think too also at some point, if there were an issue, whether that is actually a farm, a commercial farm, somebody building a barn, could the county or the code office require some sort of documents or invoices that there's actually a commercial activity going on to make that determination?
And that's the problem, yes, I think you could require it. The question is, what is that?
Well,
Well,
we've done inspections though, I mean, they sent a drone out over their land. We did, the county sent a drone out, so obviously we do
Absolutely not.
post-inspection.
That is-
Oh, that's not
Well,
right?
Tim, you asked,
He said it was a satellite imagery.
Oh, okay,
I'll give you a copy of it.
okay.
if you ask me what it is, I would think some sort of paperwork to show that there's a buying and selling going on.
Some commercial use
If
or
I,
some,
as an individual, just want to keep my horse and I built the barn as a hobby, then I would have no paperwork showing that there's commercial activity going on.
So we don't do inspections after the fact? You don't do that? I don't know.
So are y'all doing this as a DBA or do y'all have an actual business?
We have not turned the farm into a business.
Okay.
But when
Family
our
farm.
office does an inspection after, we'll know if, we can see with our eyes what it is.
Well, they've already been out there. They've got pictures and videos and I can
Right.
provide that as well. They've-
No, I'm just making a point in general, you know,
Yeah.
that we'll see it afterwards.
Exactly.
Right. And I do know that the statute, and Mr. Holland is correct, the legislature did not, in fact, they just say farm, they do not define farm. Sometimes you have statutes that are very detailed, sometimes it's left. And I think when the legislature furnishes a term but they don't define it, it basically, you go back to Webster's International and the dictionary version of what constitutes a farm. And we can, as I say, we've supplied affidavits to that effect. The statute doesn't specifically say commercial, it just says farm. And I do understand, Mr. Holland, and I do understand that you can argue that a farm implies commercial. But given the fact that the affidavits are in, we would just request that the next thing to be done is either we get permission to get Coast, which is an electrical permit, or if the board, or for the matter, its representatives have any questions about what y'all need from us to see this thing through, if you would let us know so that we can respond on that, as soon as possible from our end.
and just so Kelly did some research and obtained affidavits from other states on this issue. And I've looked at it while we've been sitting here. The problem is our statute doesn't provide any of that information. It doesn't say it, doesn't limit it. It just says farm structure. I mean, what is that? I mean, that's the question is, you go back to Webster's, does a farm include breeding horses? I would say yes in my unschooled mind. I don't know much about horses, but, so I think they probably do qualify. I think the legislature should be a little bit more definite understand a pole barn. We all know what, I've seen many a pole barn, poles with a roof over it, pretty much.
Very nice.
So I can see why the code might be a problem, when you start adding electricity and plumbing and other things of that nature. Now you're creating a potential danger to the public, and so that's a problem. But the legislature said what it said, as far as I can read, I think that's exempt. I don't think there's anything to do about that. So go back to the legislature, see if they'll clarify it.
Just curious,
Yes, sir.
what does the dictionary, how does it define a farm, you said?
Well, Mr. Flannery, if you would give me 30 seconds on a phone, I can go get that right up. But I have no problem providing that information right now.
I can
Please do.
clarify that for you.
Okay.
The definition of a farm structure is for the purposes of this exemption. A farm structure is precisely defined as a structure that is considered on a farm.
Very
Other than a
circular.
residence, so it's not a residence, or a structure attached to it, for uses on the farm, including but not limited to barns, sheds, tractor sheds, poultry houses, but not public livestock areas.
So since that doesn't define what a farm is, Tom, you said that then you go back to the dictionary.
Webster.
Correct.
Definition. I'm just
For which
curious what
I'm
the
pulling it up
definition
right now, Mr. Blaine, I appreciate that. A farm is essentially and to talk about more vagueness,
Yeah.
a division or district of a country leased out for government revenues, which that is not us, or a tract of land devoted to agricultural purposes, or a plot of land devoted to the raising of animals and especially domestic livestock. That's 5 alpha, Merriam's. So, since they're raising horses, and that would qualify.
Thank
You're welcome.
What does "and such" mean?
Well, that's a good question. I can run that.
This is a great statute, the National Flood Insurance Program and such.
What's that?
The heck is such?
I would imagine the people, I would imagine this was basically to allow people who purchase property, which is not cheap, and develop it and put fences up for structures and do decide to raise animals or take care of animals, which is a huge financial burden.
Yeah.
They wanted to make sure that those type of people were treated as such. They can, you have horses, you need a tractor shed. Cows, you gotta put hay out. I mean, you spend a lot of money on tractors, you'd like to get them under cover. You have, the horses need shelter in the winter and in the summer. So, I mean, as far
I
as,
think the actual intent is that a pole barn does not require a whole lot of code administration to, it's just a pole barn and a
Correct.
tractor shed. isn't it?
right, and I mean, you're talking about a couple light switches and plug-ins for a fan.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's
Absolutely.
real simple.
And I think Mr. Holloman and Mr. Ladner both are absolutely correct. The reason the legislature did this is because I'm interpreting the minds of 182 legislators, but I think I can do it, is to ensure that codes are for the protection of people. That is why we have the International Building Code. And in this case, when you're talking about horses being underneath that building, while we don't want animals to be cruelly treated, they are not afforded the same protections as the living standards of the International Building Code. I think if everyone's acceptable to that, we would submit that I think this would be ready for Kelly to provide a signature if everyone's okay with that, so that we can get Coast Electric to give us an electrical permit.
I mean, I
I
think the
think
Yes.
statute,
based on what
the
I
statute
hear-
is what it is.
Yes, I would say yes.
I think it needs to be clearer, but that's not our job. The legislature's job is to determine what's exempt or not exempt.
Understood, absolutely.
So they appear to be exempt if they have a farm and not just for personal use, and that appears with the affidavits.
We don't need to take any action.
I don't think you need to take any action, I think.
Yeah, other than just having someone sign off on it for the county.
They'll take care of
Clarify
it.
as
Support of the affidavit.
Is this related to the 3 buildings that were built prior, or the 6,000 square foot building that they're proposing to build?
I think it's both.
All of them.
And they submitted an affidavit on all.
They did not submit an affidavit on the 3 prior to construction.
We can have that by
I
end of the
understand
day.
they've submitted one since secured.
Okay. that's
The
county
board of-
position, we can go with that.
Let's do that,
But
because
they
they were
didn't
following
comply
y'all's
with the
lead.
statute to begin with, but they subsequently gave the affidavits, it wouldn't have made a difference ultimately. So,
And moving forward, we can be all clear on this, it'll be streamlined, and we won't have our citizens facing these obstacles
Right.
again. That's the point.
So the office will, from now on, when they wanna build a barn, they'll provide them with the information and provide them with the affidavit and advise them the proper steps to take, so they
From the
won't have
beginning.
to, at the beginning, so they won't have to do the runaround that we've done. Great.
I have a problem with us providing the affidavit, that's something that.
Yeah.
'Cause we shouldn't be in it.
I just,
This is
yeah,
giving
whoever
advice to
the citizen is should just provide the
The
affidavit
citizen
should get an
stating,
affidavit.
That's right.
and
That works
then,
perfect.
We don't
and
give
then
it,
if it
we
needs
should
to
be
be
giving advice,
verified.
legal advice,
Whoever
on
wants to
affidavit.
get it.
Absolutely.
Well, I typed
If
it.
it starts getting easy, I think they can look at it.
Could I ask a question to the board supervisor?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh,
Yeah.
I would like to state that this farm is not for commercial use, it is for a family farm. And I think that I could speak for the citizens of Harrison County to a certain extent. One of the things that a lot of people is having trouble with, and I've talked to several people, is that they have farms. They're not wanting to put a house there, but they're wanting a way to water their horses. Well, what is happening is that they're requiring to get a building permit to put a well down to water animals. As my wife noted earlier, for 3 months, and I would like to state that for Prince, that I had no intentions of building a house. And by the time Adrian and I had purchased Prince, and by the time we had pulled a permit, we were $6,000 into a project that I just wanted a well to water 4 horses. And I speak this very respectfully and very humbly. That is a disservice to the citizens of this community. Because the other thing is that farmers or horse ranchers like Adrian and myself, they spend a lot of money when they come to these events. So I would like to speak for the citizens and say that we should not do them a disservice, because they do provide money for Harrison County, quite a substantial amount of money. Because one, anybody that has fertility horses, they're not cheap. Our horses can go from between $10,000 to $80,000 a head. So when people like this come into your county, they're going to spend money. And we want this to be a healthy county for the citizens, and for people to be able to obtain farm exemptions that is bringing the equine community together. I think that's all I have to say.
I may, if I could, I want to verify what he's talking
Yes, sir.
about. Because this issue has come up, I had several calls sitting on board supervisors, that it was farmland, cattle, and somebody wanted to put a well, and they couldn't do it without a permit to build a house or something. That common sense has to play some in this. So that's something we really need to look at, what he's talking about, as far as, permitting wells.
Yes, sir.
Now, all that, when we start this, it's subject to abuse. People will abuse it, use it to circumvent other things, but I think we can deal with that. But common sense dictates that. Guy called, and this has happened to me, people calling me wanting to put a well, and they couldn't do it because it would have to go through a permitting process. So I can verify what he said, and that's a problem.
And Mr. Lynn, to respond to the issue of abuse, and Mr. Holloman raised it, and he raised it adeptly as well, and that is, these affidavits are done for a reason. Affidavits are sworn, they're being submitted to a government, and accordingly, if it's intentionally false, it would subject the swearer to perjury charges. That's
Yeah.
worst, that'd be worst case scenario. But if I remember correctly, that carries a 5-year prison term at Parchman. So affidavits are something that, when these folks have to do it, they have to take it seriously.
Let me ask you a quick question, Tim.
I'm reading this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
What authority do we have as this board to let people with farms have a well to water their animals?
I think the board could, well, you could probably change the code, make an exemption to the code if you want to do that. I'm not sure this statute even, I mean, it talks to structures, not to wells, but
Kind of a different subject, but this is
But
what
it's
she ran
important.
into.
Yeah, Angel ran into this.
Angel Middleton, 20232 Highway 53. So my dad and I bought adjoining land. It's 14 acres total, 7 and 7. So it was already fenced because it was already A1 agriculture. fence all the way around. So we just wanted to put a well down that was a great turnout for horses. So I went and asked, cause you have to have electricity, had to rezone the property, come to 2 planning commission meetings, to get a well just to water those horses on land that, like I said, we had already purchased it, but if you can't turn your horses out without water. So it was a big jump through hoops, so that's why, like some of us that have small farms, not commercial, but small farms, and this land that, is suitable for this. We just like to see y'all make the process easier for us to put a well down, just not to build a house. But an affidavit would be fine with that too, because you could swear that you're just putting a well for livestock. We would just like to see that made easier.
Because right now, there's nothing in process. When you go to the zoning office and the permitting office, they're either gonna zone you residential or they're gonna zone you commercial. When you look at their website to fill out an application, that's the only options they give you. And when you go in there and discuss it being a farm, they either want you to buy drawings to build a home, or you're commercial. You got no other options.
We'll look at that process, and that's something we'll have to do internally, but as far as you guys, we'll get y'all taken care of to where you can get y'all's things taken care of and move forward. And then those things we'll look at internally and make whatever changes we need to.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, number 2, order concurring with and approving and I'd also like to state that Dan Cuevas is on the phone. He's here by telephone.
Dan?
Yeah, Dan is on the phone.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Order concurring with and approving the resolution of the Harrison County Development Commission authorizing and approving purchase and sale agreement between HCDC and KEK Investments.
Motion.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, need a motion on items 3 through 13 on the consent agenda. Discussion? All in favor? Number 14, order acknowledging receipt of the 2025 real and personal property assessment rolls for First and Second Judicial District. Motion, second, discussion. All in favor?
I'm sorry to do this, but on the consent agenda, I couldn't find it quickly enough. I believe there was travel for youth court employees to go to the IP. I just want to point out, if you're a mile away from something, I mean, I could be wrong. Is it still on here? Last week when I saw it, it was on
I think
here.
it was just registration.
It was just registration?
There was no-
When I saw it Thursday, it was travel. Okay.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Registration, okay. So we did,
Selena, that is correct, it's just registration. Yeah, it's no, we're not gonna let anybody stay overnight.
That was my point. Thank you. Just checking.
so did we vote on 14?
You have motion and second.
Okay, motion second on 14. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
15, order acknowledging receipt of application for certification to expand the 1 mil according to section 2739 to 320.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Order acknowledging receipt of and approving petitions for decreases to the 20 through 23 personal property laws. Discussion? All in favor? Order acknowledging the receipt of and approving petitions for decreases to the 24 real and personal property laws.
Motion.
Discussion? All in favor? Order acknowledging receipt of and approving petitions for increases to the 2024 personal property rule.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Order authorizing and approving the low quote purchase of 16 scanners for CDW-G at a cost of $15,399.84. This is approved in the 2025 budget.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? All right, item 20, recognize Jackie Turner.
Good morning. I have sent y'all a couple images or options of their attachments as well, for sign that will go in front of the Maples building as it's converted to the IDD building. I had, sent one a couple weeks ago. I had received a couple comments of things that maybe could be a little bit better, but not, a consensus. So we just wanted to get in front of you if I could and take a look at these two options, see if one of them is what you'd like to see, or if we want to change one of them and get to the point that we can get the sign ordered and installed. So that's kind of what I'm here for today. The first one, if anybody needs, I brought extra if you want to look at them here, but
Yeah, absolutely.
so the first one was the first draft at it, and it basically included all the information that was required. And there were some questions about what if Pine Belt changes its name or sells or whatever. And so what we looked at was the bottom one.
Separate.
Yeah, it would be separate, and this, we're actually looking at brick columns instead of wood that would match the building, but it could be installed as two separate
How
signs.
about the two statues, you leaving them in there?
Just like they are, right?
That looks great to me. I like how you did
The
that.
reason I want to know who they represent.
It's not me. You can look at their height, you can tell it's not me.
Yeah, I
So-
love that.
So I guess that's the question, if everybody likes the way the second one works, it meets all the requirements for IDD as far as having a phone number and address, what the building's there for. It clearly shows it being a Harrison County building. I like it, but I wanted to get some kind of confirmation that this is what we want to do in
I
the
think the second one, is that,
Yeah, it looks
is
good to
that
me.
Yeah.
consensus of the board?
Yes.
All
You
right,
like that,
you got
Kat?
it.
Good.
That's what I needed.
I like the two separate, that
Let
way.
me show
it
Dan.
won't change.
That's all, I don't think I needed any kind of vote or anything, that's all in the contract, we just needed to pick which one, so we'll move
And
forward
great
with
job
that.
on that.
Thank
I've
you.
walked through it, you've done wonderful.
Have you been recently?
Yes, it looks
It's-
amazing.
It's unbelievable how much of a change has been and how good it's coming along, I'm really excited to see it finished, so,
Thank you.
thank you.
Time got away from me. I'll jump down to zoning. We have a 10 o'clock appeal.
Good morning. The appellant, Rhonda Halterline, is contesting the planning commission's approval of the zoning map amendment and conditional use to allow for a 23-lot subdivision on a 32.77 acre parcel of land. The property is currently zoned A1. The hearing before the Harrison County Planning Commission was the time when the applicant and/or objectors were given the opportunity to make a record in support of their respective positions. Since the objectors have exercised their right of appeal of the Planning Commission's ruling to the Harrison County Board of Supervisors, only the record made before the Planning Commission and oral arguments will be considered by the Board of Supervisors. Both appellant and opposition are allowed 3 10-minute speakers. The appellant is allowed a 5-minute rebuttal. The appellant and opposition will address any board questions and the board will render its decision.
Okay. Now, is Rhonda here? Okay, you can come forward and state your case. Please state your name and address before you start.
Rhonda Halterline, 7321 Gianni Road, Pass Christian, 39571. So, not just I, Rhonda Halterline, that is opposing this. We've come together as a community, we've fought several of these subdivisions, and so far we've managed to keep them at bay, but again, the area we live in, at one point when I moved out there 40 years ago, it was 5 acres for you to build on. Somehow it's muddled down to 3, now I'm understanding it's 1, I'm not sure. I'm not a good public speaker. So anyway, with that being said, this subdivision that they're planning is not gonna be consistent with what our community is accustomed to. On top of that, it sits a half a mile from where Buc-ee's is, and right now we know what Buc-ee's traffic has brought and what it's impacted. Development at this time, until the traffic is better under control, for the lack of a better term, I don't think development is what we need in that area at this time. Let's get our other situations straightened out and build according to what the community has been built on for many, many years.
Is that all you have?
Yes.
Okay, and we'll allow Bobby, or you
Oh,
want to
he's
speak
got-
as
got
well?
a gentleman
Yes.
raised
Okay,
his hand.
come on.
Before we do that, I think so, let's make sure there's anybody that's here, we get on the
Yeah.
record that they are opposed or in favor of it.
Please state your name and address before you start.
My name is Jerry Gatoff, Gathoff. I live at 10325 Lavoie Road in Pass Christian, and I'm here to just bring up three issues that I have with this development, changing from agricultural 1 to R1. The first is the infrastructure, like Ron had said. With the Buc-ee's situation, and now you have to, if you want to go on the interstate now, you have to check Google Maps to see how red it is to get on the interstate most days, especially the weekends, or go around the back all the way down Lavoie. So infrastructure is one thing. I agree with Rhonda, what she said, that this development is not consistent with the neighborhood that's there right now. I mean, it's cramming a lot of houses, probably on acre and a half lots into a small area. So if you put 23 houses, the average family in America today is 3.1, so you're dumping 75 more people into that community without the proper infrastructure to support it. And the last thing, my 20 acres is just to the north and east of this 40-acre, essentially a 40-acre development. I drove past there this morning just to make sure I looked it up on the tax rolls to see which parcels we were talking about. And I just wanted to put eyes on it. I didn't know if it was pasture or woods, but it's all woods. And as I was driving by this morning, 45 minutes ago, there were 2 deer standing right outside the wood line, and they're just looking at me. I never had seen any kind of wildlife like that before. But it's heavily wooded. And as I maintain my property and maintain my fields, on more than one occasion I have seen a bald eagle that hangs out in that general area, flying south from my pond when I scare it out. So I don't know that for a fact, I don't see the nest, but I know for a fact that that's got a bald eagle that occupies that area and hunts in that area. And that, along with the deer, I think it's a resource that I think that would be best left to nature.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of the?
Darrell Hughes, 10129 Fire Tower Road. On this development does not conducive to the character of the area. Most of the residents around there are on multiple acre lots.
He's going out. He's going out.
On multiple acre lots. So when you restrict the area down, and of course, we know that they're gonna have to pipe in water, but that's another concern. The sewer and water district is having a hard time coming to my property. I've got 6.5 acres, and I'm like 1,300 feet back from the road. So, there's a problem, a big problem. We would like the board to consider increasing the lot size to 3 acres as conducive with the area. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, ma'am.
name is Adrian March. My address is 11529 Hidden Valley Road, past Christian, and owns it. Just like everyone else, the infrastructure, it's like putting the horse before the carriage. The infrastructure's not there. It's already pretty congested. However, the other thing as well, I own 5 acres, not my homestead, but I own 5 acres of the road, in which not too long ago, I was in here, I just wanted to deed off or build my daughter and my grandchildren a house, 5 acres. I either wanted to do 1 acre or whatever they wanted me to. I just wanted to be able to build her house. She was having a little hardship. I was told no, because if one person, because of the new Supreme Court ruling, if one person opposes, it's out. That is what I spoke with. Mr. Gillespie was here. Let me back up. The planning commission approved it. However, all we had to do is get through zoning just to approve, instead of the 3 acres, just to approve the 1, 2, or whatever they wanted me to do. She didn't have to have a lot of land. She didn't have to have a little. I just wanted to build her a house there, because we build. Everybody was for it. Mr. Gillespie was here and he said, oh, wait a minute. Because there was a couple people opposing, because they were under the impression we were building they were under the wrong impression. However, Mr. Gillespie said, from the new Supreme Court ruling, and I'm saying new, within a year, he showed me all the above, that if one person opposes, it's out. You have to go get a lawyer and go to court. So he may need to reiterate that, but my 5 acres is right out there as well, so.
Was it part of a subdivision?
Well, it's funny you say that. It may be a subdivision, but it's not. I mean, on paper.
I'm just trying to figure out what ruling he's talking about, because I think he's talking about
It
is where
it
you
was
change,
subdividing property in the subdivision.
where you change a
It was
subdivision
platted
plat.
without
You
recording.
have to give notice to everybody, and
The 5 acres was
If,
platted
if
in.
the
It's fine, but
subdivision,
my
if
point
one
is-
opposes it, then you can't change its plat.
Because it was part of a plat, that's why.
Your 5 acres was part of a.
But they used it when it was convenient. It wasn't, neither here nor there, it was used when convenient, not the whole picture. But their same issue wasn't necessarily that. The same issue was exactly what we have here. The infrastructure's not here. They, we have dwindled down to 3 acres per house. So it was all the same issue.
So this is
Opposition.
a little off this particular appeal, but I'm curious what she's talking about. If she owns 5 acres, you wanted to separate an acre out of there to give it to your daughter.
Or half, whatever they wanted me to do. Yes,
Yeah.
I wanted to build her a house there.
You weren't gonna let her, you weren't gonna build, you could have built the house on the whole 5 acres, or however you didn't want to. You wanted
There's a
to
house-
be just a part of that property to her.
Because we couldn't build it without it being in her name. Obviously, we're not paying for it, we're gonna build it, but neither here nor there. It was the same opposition. The opposing, the people who didn't want it, it was the exact same reason.
I don't think that issue ever came before the board, did it, Harry?
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak?
May I add something?
How long in are we?
I think she still has some
Yeah.
time.
She wants to come forward. Give-
We started at that.
Good morning.
Please state your name and address.
Sharice Anderson, 26456 Nyland Road. And I wasn't prepared to speak this morning, and so I don't really have anything to say, but I wanted to stand in agreement with my neighbors. I have 2 acres, and I do belong to a subdivision, and that subdivision, I think 2 acres, I'm right on the edge of it, but I think that the minimum of that subdivision is 2 acres. And so I don't think it's right to bring another subdivision in with such small lots. I think it destroys the environment and the atmosphere of where we are living. We all moved out there to be in a rural environment and have the acreage and you know, the distance from each other. And I don't think that those size lots are consistent with what we already have out there.
What's the name of the subdivision you live in?
Deerwood.
Okay.
And I just hope that, you know, I don't have a problem with people moving out there. It's just that the size of the lots is too tight, and we don't want it, we didn't move out there to be cramped. And the traffic, water supply, and, you know, we just didn't move out there for that.
All right, anything else?
That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have a couple more minutes. If anyone else wants to speak? Go for it.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Sam Scatino. I live at 11284 Fire Tower Road, which is in the Deerwood subdivision. I live right on the turn that goes right before you get to Vidalia. You met me at my house, Mr. Marlin, and I really appreciate everything you've done to help slow down that traffic, because they came in there, re-decaled all that. Traffic has slowed tremendously. Thank you. I think you saved my life, because I'm in the end of that turn. I want to commend all of you for everything you've done for the county. You guys have done a wonderful job. I want to commend you for that. I'm proud to live here. I've been living here in Harrison County, transferred from Hancock, where I had my business, about 20 years ago, right around Katrina, when everybody fled from the coast and went north to the north side of Interstate 10. I think everybody here kind of remembers that, right? I was one of those transplants. I really didn't want to go. I loved where I was at. I was on the Jordan River in Bay St. Louis. I thought I had a piece of paradise. Now, I moved up here to Fire Tower Road, and I did get another piece of paradise. And I want to say one thing about where we live. It's special. It needs to be preserved, okay? I'm not opposed to growth. I think growth's a wonderful thing. I think Buc-ee's is a wonderful thing for this county. How y'all landed that, I have no idea. They could have went anywhere in Mississippi, okay? But they didn't. They went here. Now we have to manage it. It's not being managed properly. We need a study being done, how we're going to have that intersection flow without any issues. There are tremendous issues for us coming from the north, okay? We're coming around that first big turn, okay? It's stacked up all the way to Lobui at times.
You can't get in.
You cannot get in, yeah.
You cannot get in.
Exactly. And you know, I'm here to just talk a little bit. I mean, if y'all give me a few extra minutes, I can come up with some clear proposals here for you. But the point is, I am opposed to this because these other folks, just like you said, there's no infrastructure. The infrastructure that we put in, that's way too small. That circle should have been the same size circle y'all put in on the other side, down by Cedar Lake, in that area. Y'all put in a huge roundabout, just like the one at the airport. That's a great roundabout. Hardly no accidents there. I've seen so many close calls just by sitting in the Dollar General where a car has to swerve to avoid collision because everybody's braking. The other thing is, when these people are coming in from out of town, and there's probably thousands of plates and ain't none of them from here. They're coming in and they're stacking that line and they're not allowing anybody from the north to come. Now, we already had an issue with waste management trucks. They're slow, they're cumbersome, they're dirty, they litter the hell out of the area. I want to commend Waste Management. They do get a crew out there and they pick up the trash. So it's not like they're not trying. But we don't need more pressure on this intersection. I have a proposal. The proposal is that the other side, I think that's Lobo, what's the name of the street that's on the other side of Buc-ee's? Where it crosses over the interstate.
West side of Lobui.
Yeah. Is that it? I propose we put an on-ramp and an off-ramp there to relieve some of this traffic coming in on the other side of Buc-ee's. It was a great idea, guys, but we're not getting the infrastructure done, and these people are all waiting in line to go to work. I've had to put 30 minutes on some of my runs, especially on a Saturday and Sunday. You're gonna sit in line. Why should we deserve that? We don't. We can plan better, and we can do a better job, okay? I've proposed a study on this. It's very important that we do that, okay? The other thing is, you got all this traffic coming in already, and it's stacking up. Now you want to put in subdivisions that's just going to load cars onto that same avenue, okay? I have a little sign right here. It says allow side traffic to enter circle when stopped. So when they come around that circle, they need to be instructed to stop and allow that side traffic to come. This should have been done when they put that little sign up there with the flashing blue lights in the very beginning. That should have been the message from the beginning. Instead, it said, fasten your safety belt. Okay, well, that's not telling me a damn thing about how to proceed, right? Right. So you kind of following me. We could do a better job, and we need to do this now for these people. These people are waiting in line. They don't need to be waiting in line. I don't need to be waiting in line. We can make that circle bigger, okay? And you can have more traffic flow coming through that circle. They made it too small. Even the 18-wheelers can't even make a turn without getting into the grass because it's so tight. So I'm proposing that we study it, look at it, let's try to fix it. Because if we don't fix it now, then you bring in all these other subdivisions, and God knows how much more commercial stuff's coming. The other thing I'd like to see from the board is I'd like to see a plan. I'd like you to be sending me a plan. Y'all have my emails, y'all have my address. You could send me a urban planning that, hey, this is what we want to do. We want to go this far north above Buc-ee's, and that's where we're going to stop the commercial. Everything else will be preserved north of that. You got to start looking at these people. The whole reason why we live there and live up there is because it's peaceful. But when you're bringing in all this traffic like this, it's not so peaceful. And then who knows what kind of riffraff's going to come into this type of these structures. I don't care for Section 8. I've lived around Section 8. It's a nightmare. So I just want to stop here. I know I'm getting a little rambly here, but I just want you to know I'm very much opposed to any growth right now until you fix that traffic circle. Or you put another ramp on that other side to allow us an opportunity to go about our business. Because we can't keep filling up the funnel, because the funnel is going to just burst. And I'm actually at the point right now, if we can't fix this, you know, I'm looking for property further out. And that's a shame, because this is where I thought I would be in my full retirement and end my life. This is where I want to be. I don't want to go be in Socia. I want to be here. So thank you for hearing me. I know it was very long, but I think I got my point across. And please get this sign done as soon as possible. Mr. Marlin, I'm going to give this to you.
Just for clarification,
Sir.
the county has nothing to do with that circle, that's MDOT.
Yeah,
That's
but
gonna
you
be
guys have a
required.
lot of
We
influence
can
over
make
what
a
happens.
recommendation to them.
Yes, sir, I know you
but-
can.
But we can't do that.
Well, I know you can't physically do it, but you can certainly get your.
We can make a recommendation.
Yeah, y'all can get in there and make it happen.
Where,
You know?
All right, Mr. Heinrich?
Just for clarification, any discussions about egress, ingress on the
It's
Bowie
all
Road
MDOT.
interstate's gonna be Harrison County.
Well, I know that, but MDOT made a very poor adjustment on this. This wasn't studied right.
Yeah.
Y'all should have known by just going over to the Buc-ee's that's over here in Alabama. Go look at what they had to do to change that infrastructure. They had to put in extra lanes.
All right. Thank you,
So,
sir.
you
Appreciate
know,
it.
that's where we're at, and a lot of us share this same concern.
Thank you.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
Mr. Heinrich.
Mr. Morrow, thank you.
We make sure that anybody else is not going to speak is opposed or not. So
Yes.
if we get them on the record, that goes up on appeal. So I ask if anybody else is here.
Is there anybody else here in opposition? Just that we need to recognize.
Three more back there.
Can we give them, stand up and give them their
Yeah,
names?
please give us your names and addresses for the record.
Cynthia Revere, 27200 West Dubuisson, West Christian, 3570. Can you spell your last name? DROUILHET.
Go ahead.
Laura Anderson, 10350 Fire Tower Road.
Okay.
Rusty case,
27496 West Dubason Road.
And Johnson, 2717 West Dubason.
Anybody else?
Opposed?
All right, thank you. Mr. Reiner?
Since I didn't bring my easel, I'm gonna use this chair. So, just kind of give y'all a picture of what we're talking about here. My name's Bobby Heinrich, 1806 23rd Avenue here in Gulfport, and I'm here to speak for the property owner of this property, this project. So just to kind of give you a little bit of history of this project, it was previously approved by the Planning Commission about a year ago. The owner pulled the application before it came to y'all for the rezone for personal reasons. Earlier this year, the owner decided to resubmit the rezone in the conditional use application on March 20th, 25, I received a unanimous approval again for a 23 lot type 3 subdivision. As y'all probably know, most of the time I come in here and present, I don't present a whole lot of large lot subdivisions. They most of them, as you know, are involved in several smaller lot subdivisions that have access to municipal water and sewer. That's why developers want to try to do that, because you have municipal water and sewer. So bringing this subdivision with 1 acre lots, 1 acre plus lots, I would think I wouldn't have a hemp position, but because all I hear is, oh, we want 1 acre minimum, 1 acre minimum. So I come in here with a 1 acre minimum lot subdivision, and I still have opposition. The appeal was submitted here today. There were 2 comments on the comment letter here by Ms. Halterline, stated that the appeal, that she is not in opposition, and I heard this from other folks, that they're not in opposition to growth in our community, but obviously they are in opposition of growth in the community. I didn't get everyone's address, but I just have to go ahead and point out that Ms. Halterline lives about 3.5 miles away from this property. So anybody can come in here and oppose this. So I don't have all the addresses of everybody that spoke against it, but you're only, notify people within 300 feet of the property. So I wanted to show this, our drawing here. These are 1 acre plus lots. There was another comment about having roof line to roof line developments like this. If you look at those little orange dots right here, or squares, this is a 1 to 100 scale. Those are 2,000 square foot lots. It's just a box. It's 2,000 square feet. They're 160 feet apart. So these lots are 200 feet apart. They're 1 acre. They have to have well and septic tank, because there's no municipal utilities in that area. So my owner, Mr. Bang, wants to do a 1 acre lot development. We're not spot zoning. There's R1 around the area here. There's an R1 corner right here. So we're not spot zoning. We're in compliance with the neighborhood. Also, just give me a second here. Also, when I did there was a little study done for this area, and within 2 miles of this property, there's 1,105 parcels. 357 of those parcels are 1 acre or less. So I just wanted to make that point, that this is not something uncommon. We're coming in here with a large lot subdivision. As far as infrastructure, the only infrastructure you do on a development like this, and I know they're talking about Buc-ee's and that kind of thing in traffic, but in this particular project, you're looking at a 20-foot wide asphalt road with ditches. the owner is not planning on timbering this thing. You just cut out where, and there's not a lot of large trees on this property anyway. But just clear out the area where the houses are going and leave the trees alone, just let it stay wooded. So there's plenty of woods on this property. So just wanted to make that point. And then, I was approved unanimously twice, from the planning commission. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have about this project, but I would like your support.
Well, I did read in the, excuse me, in the minutes, I think, that, y'all met with the neighborhood, people
Yes.
in the neighborhood. Were any of these people involved in it? Who
Not
were-
one.
Where are the property owners that you, I don't necessarily know who they are, but who are the property owners that you met with? And where were they located?
Northeast.
But who's north of us?
It was the Nikkei's.
Sorry?
The Nikkei's family.
Nikkei's
There's
family.
about 6 of them.
They were concerned about water, okay? You know, because we're gonna have to do a well and septic tank. And their concerns was water. And, you know, even though they came in and they were concerned about that, not against development, they were just concerned about their water, you know, to make sure their wells weren't gonna run dry, and that's not possible. So that was their only concern, and that was one of the reasons why Mr. Bang, decided to pull it and discuss it for a while. So they went back to them, talked about it, everybody was happy, did not show up for the planning commission, everybody was happy, and then, I would like to add that this wouldn't be here today, I wouldn't think, if it wasn't for another project that was on the agenda that night. And that was a small lot subdivision, and everybody was there against that and saw this one and decided to make comments on this one. And I only heard one person that night, maybe two at the most, that commented on my project. And then there's, you know, several today, but, just wanted to make that point. But yes, sir, he did talk with the neighbors, they worked all that out, and, that's why he resubmitted.
The subdivision east of that, adjacent to and east of that particular proposal.
This here?
It's Lake Breeze, I believe.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that correct? What's the size lots in Lake
There
Breeze?
are three lots, but I'll highlight these lots.
I'm sorry?
One lots, they're 3 acre minimum.
They're 3 acre lots.
Yes.
It's Lake Breeze.
But I didn't bring this out, but they're long and narrow and, you know, skinny lots. But you know, look at the width of them. You know, we have 100, 250, 300
They are
feet.
3 acre lots.
Yes, sir. There's the 3 acre lots. But again, we have an R1 already existing right here too. And I didn't bring a zoning map, but there's, like I said, there's several 1 acre lots around this piece of property.
If you go up the Bowie Road, a slight distance, I don't know exactly how far, some distance up the Bowie north of that particular project. There's another subdivision in there, Mare Point.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the size of those lots are?
They're
Anywhere from
10 and 5.
Anywhere from what,
I
5 to
think
what?
most of the lots in Mare Point are 5 acres.
5 acres, that's what I thought. And of course, you got the lots too. And
There's a process.
Deerwood, which the lady had spoke to too, but most of those lots in Deerwood are more than 2 acres.
They're all.
There's reasons to do a larger lot development, and one of them is, you know, a lot of mobile homes goes on those lots. You can get around the health department with a 3 acre lot. You know, you don't have to deal with the health department. I gotta go to the health department and make sure that the land's gonna perk and those kind of things. So this isn't the end of the road. The engineering and all that stuff has to be done before I can do a 1 acre lot. So at the end of the day, health department may come back in there and say, well, you need 1.5 acres or 2 acres or whatever. So I gotta go through that process. But this is what's allowed in the Harrison County subdivision ordinance, that in an R1 type 3 development, 1 acre minimum, and these are acre plus. So, I understand, you know, yeah, and those subdivisions, some of them are decades old. I mean, it's just, you know, these days, you know, you can't buy land for $1,500 an acre and all that. I mean, you're pushing you know, $15,000 to $20,000 an acre, and you just cannot develop a lot much larger than this. I mean, if you get the land cheap, that's one thing, but it's just not feasible to do that. Again, I just, I come in here all the time with, you know, a lot smaller lots and get opposition, and I've won some, I've lost some. But, for me to come in here with a 1 acre development, it's rare. So, anyway, I'm happy to answer any more questions.
I don't have any.
Just,
Yes, sir.
Bobby,
Can we see the?
you'd have to,
Give us a second.
you have to,
We'll get,
I presume,
we'll
perk that
leave
property
this
to
up here.
determine whether you can put septic tanks in
We
there,
have to
right?
go out there and survey a line down this road right here. And a little crew with the health department comes out there and they got their little auger and they go out there and they do their perk test.
Have you done that?
I have not done that, no, sir.
You would do, yeah.
I
you
will
won't
be
until
doing
after-
that, and I
if
gotta
it's-
follow what they
if
say.
it's approved.
Otherwise, they won't get approved.
Yeah.
there's no reason for them to spend money though until they know if this is gonna be.
That's what I'm saying, he wouldn't do that until.
No, we're here asking for a color of a map change and a conditional use.
Gotcha.
Mr. Heinrich, do you
Yes.
mind spinning that
Yes.
map around so that they can see that out there? They have a.
I'll just walk down here. Again, the orange, boxes there is about a 2,000 square foot lot, or a square foot house on a 1 acre lot. These are roughly, average about 200 feet wide.
What's the yellow?
The yellow is the low area. So in Harrison County, you gotta detain water, stormwater. So all this water would be directed to that area right there, and then it's dry detention. I don't like doing wet, you know, what they call retention. This is detention. And so, the water has to go there. That has to do with DEQ. You gotta.
Where is the dump in relation?
The dump?
The dump's immediately west, probably 1,500 feet.
So there's a,
So it's across catty corner, across the intersection.
it's over in this
So
area right here.
The southwest end would be smelling.
Can I get a picture of that? Would you mind? Easier for me.
Can we just,
Yeah, you can stay in.
I thought this may have been part of the application.
It is.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Marlin?
No,
Okay. Thank you.
All right, we have, how long for the rebuttal? We have 5 minutes, so whoever wants, on the rebuttal, so whoever wants to speak.
Rhonda Waterline, 7321 Gianni Road, Pass. Just to clarify, Mr. Heinrich, with where I live in conjunction to where he wants to build this neighborhood, I also own a property at 27230 West Dubazon Road, which is directly in that area. And Mr. Ninkase is right with the landfill smell. It's horrendous. I live just south of I-10 off of Vidalia. If throw a rock and hit the interstate. Last week I had to call Sam Williams, who runs the landfill. It was so bad south of I-10, it was make you gag. So if y'all would keep in mind that landfill is also a problem. And I'm glad that you pointed out Mare Point and Lake Breeze, because those are 2 and 3, mostly 3 and 3.5 acres are the mandatory in Lake Breeze. Thank y'all for your consideration.
Okay, we have a few more minutes.
I just have a couple points. One, as far as the compass of who gets letters or not, we're in the county, so most of us have a little more land. So we're not in Gulfport. I'm from Gulfport originally, so I get it. So we're in larger areas, so the compass has to be larger. You can't just send within a few miles, or you're not hitting many people. One, number two, the ones that have been rezoned to 1 acre, the R1 and things, Really should probably look at the dates, because that's what I was informed, and I did the research back then too. A lot of them are gonna be before, this Supreme Court ruling, and so forth. And then, and also the last point is the infrastructure, I don't mean just the traffic, and the roundabout or all that. The other things are our schools. I mean, there's gonna be, I mean, there are 2,000 plus, there are gonna be families, or we don't have the schools, we don't have, they're already loaded, packed. And mine go to private school, but the public schools are full, they're full. But thank you so much for hearing all of this.
Thank you. We have about 3 more minutes if anyone else would like to say anything.
I'll make it quick. Darrell Hughes, 10129 Fire Tower Road. When I bought my property out there in '02, Smokey had told me that they had plans in the future to 4-lane Fire Tower Road, because it is the evacuation route, okay? And I've been out there 23 years now. They still haven't 4-lane Fire Tower Road.
Who is Smokey?
And I suspect in another 23 years, you come back, it's still not gonna be done. I don't know why they would tell you that.
Well, anyway, he said that was in the planning, but they wouldn't have had that little inconvenience called Hurricane Katrina, so everything got wasted away. But the idea about an on and off ramp on LaBouille would probably be the best thing, because it comes out the backside. That little service road that goes through there connects to LaBouille, and it would be just a short trip to the interstate. So, thank you.
All right, 2 minutes.
We got a letter recently, at least I know several of us here did. We were gonna get water and sewer that's coming north on Fire Tower. His project's not even a mile away from the main line. Why isn't he being provided water when there's a main not even a mile away? Am I right, sir? You're right near Fire Tower, right?
I can comment after all this if you want me to.
Yeah, I just want to know your property's
I know
near
about
Fire
the water
Tower.
and sewer, yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm thinking that would save your people money on your parcels if you did get approved. The other thing is that, what I'm thinking is that, just wanted to thank you all for hearing us today. That was the main thing that I wanted to say. I was just trying to make it a little more glamorous. I'll just cut it there. Thank you for hearing.
Thank you. All right, real quick, Mr.
Real quick, I
You
just
can
want to-
respond to that one
Respond to
question.
a few of these comments.
No, wait, go ahead.
No, I think it's over.
Okay.
They get a
All right.
rebuttal.
Okay,
He
no,
needs
no.
to answer the question, they did the rebuttal.
Okay.
They did.
Can you just answer that one question? Just that one question that he had about the water line from MCUA.
So, yeah, I mean, that, I was originally involved in the project at it'd be the northwest corner of this project. We went for, I think, half-acre lots, and anyway, it got denied, but we were gonna put water and sewer in there the water's there, but the sewer's not there. So it's still another year off for that. And if I was gonna do that, I'd be in here asking for a 7,500 square foot lot with water and sewer, curb and gutter, and that kind of thing. You don't put water and sewer services on a 1-acre lot. It's not feasible. Developers aren't gonna do
The
that.
infrastructure costs.
That's
is what
right.
you're
It's
saying.
it doesn't balance out. Just want to make that point. The other thing, a zoning change and a conditional use doesn't have anything to do with deer or eagles or smell or schools or
Yes,
the
sir.
mailman. So I just want to make that point.
All right.
Yeah, it brings people into the community, but every time I've ever had a question about the school, they say, don't worry about the school. We'll take care of the kids in Harrison County. And I wanted to comment on the lady that mentioned about having a house on. If you have a 81 lot, and if it's a family member, there is a process that you can build a secondary house on a 3-acre lot. So
Thank you. I think the problem with that specific subdivision is that, or her property, it's not that area. It's that her property is in a designated plat
Exactly.
That's why you can't subdivide something that's within a plat.
Yeah. You can't
so
subdivide it,
that's-
but you can still
It's
build a house
different
on
than
it.
just a freestanding piece of property.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
There's covenants on this property.
Well, if the covenant say you can't have a secondary house, then that's another thing, but I'm just, I think, but the process is, you can come in here and ask for that if you wanted to.
Dan, do you have any questions, comments?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions, comments?
I don't have any questions or comments, but I am prepared to make a motion. Being familiar with that area, there are large lot subdivisions. There is some, I think, credibility to the argument, even though it might not be specific to the zoning ordinance about traffic in reference to Buc-ee's. So I don't think that proposed subdivision, even an acre, and I appreciate the fact that they are trying to increase the acreage, but I do not feel that proposal will fit into our that particular neighborhood. Therefore, I make a motion to deny, to uphold the appeal. And
To approve the appeal.
approve the appeal.
Okay. Is there a second to his motion to approve the appeal?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Can we make sure we're granting the appeal, reverses the decision? of the
Reverse,
planning commission?
to be more specific, I'm granting the appeal and reversing the decision of the zoning commission,
Case goes up on, clear.
based on the fact that that does not fit into that community, the proposal.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Are you a yes?
Yes.
Okay, so it's 4-1, the appeal passes.
No.
Oh, you're
No,
for it?
yeah,
You're for the appeal or
I
yes?
vote.
Okay, so 4-1, the appeal passes.
Okay.
I'm in opposition. Okay, thank y'all. Now we'll move to item 22.
21.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, I'm sorry. Item 21. Order approving the subdivision application for Walker Farm South subdivision, Phase 1, 28 lots located in Section 14, Township 6, South Supervisor Voting District 2. Y'all, the appeal was granted, so the subdivision has been denied by the board.
Thank you very much.
All right, do I have a motion on 21?
I am not happy with the lot size, I don't know how we got that going here with 28, this is .202 acres, right, Eric? This is still much smaller than we discussed last.
I'm sorry, can you say that
Do y'all
again?
want to make a motion to discuss it?
Yeah, we'll make
And then-
I'll make a motion to discuss it.
Okay, I'll second that, okay. All
Okay,
right.
discussion. This doesn't look much better than the last time. It's 56 lots, 24 acres, comes to .202 acres, right?
Are you talking about number 21?
Yeah, but if you look at, if you go down to the actual application for development, see where it's circled, the big black circle on the map?
You're talking about Walker Farm South and West, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It said lots 70 by 125 feet.
That's what was approved prior.
That-
Remember when,
But that's
remember
still
when
too
this subdivision?
small. Remember, we were telling them it needs to be at least 1.5 acre is in
Not-
Walker Farms, and so.
Not in
Go
Walker Farm. Walker Farms was always small lots. If you remember, when Walker Farms came in, Walker Farm South was gonna be commercial. That roadway going in was gonna be commercial zone properties. We came back in and rezoned them to an R1 residential, along with Walker Farm South and Walker Farm West.
And what did the local people, what's the last planning commission experience on this one?
I couldn't, they've been in the pipe since, I wanna say there was a lawsuit on it, and we had, it was about the roads weren't being maintained. They came back to us last year, and we agreed upon this, that they are going to also Are they gonna repair and repave the previous section?
That road
My
was against.
understanding is that the south one doesn't require that. If they do the west and the north, that requirement was added. This is based on an application that is just saying it's consistent with what was approved on item G, which is the zoning approval letter from 2023. So this is consistent with what was approved previously, and this is just the next step in that process.
Yeah, they'd already received their zoning and their conditional use back in 2023 with the understanding that they were going to repair the roads.
Did they repair?
Did they repair?
I think they're in the process of getting that approval now.
If y'all don't mind indulging me, can I table this for next week? Because I have not really spent enough time. Because I still feel these are too small.
Come in on this?
Yeah.
This is a process where we've already gone through zoning, we've already gone through, the engineering, we've got all of our state approvals. This is Harrison County Engineering notifying y'all that there's a subdivision being put out there. We're past all that. It took us almost 2 years to get this approved.
Okay.
Yeah, this has all been approved, I think.
In my mind, they were larger though. When I see 70 by 125.
We did increase the lots.
We might need to address the procedure here, that could be a problem. It's all
I
right.
can answer
I
more.
agree with you, except that all Ms. Powers asked for us to delay it a week so she can look at it.
Yeah, I don't think that's a problem.
I don't care about that, but I'm just saying, this is,
I understand.
if you look down, on number 21, if you look A through J, all that stuff had to be done. This is what happens when you do a subdivision. This is the things you gotta get in order to get to this point, so that, and they're just letting the board know that we're getting ready to start digging dirt on a subdivision. That's all this is. But
All Ms. Powers was asking was a week to look at it.
I know, and I'm not arguing, I just wanna make sure everybody's on the same page.
Because I've had opposition in the past and I
Oh,
just,
yeah.
I want to
Oh,
make
trust
sure
me,
that
I was
I'm
there.
representing my people, you know.
I was there, trust me.
I know.
But the road, I think one of the critical issues was
The traffic, the
did not
road.
do the road. Is that being taken care of, Bobby? That's,
Yes,
I
okay,
guess.
I'm sorry, I forgot to
I
mention
don't-
that. There was a development to the north that got approved as well, it's called Walker Farm North. And back when the original developer did this, he had a bond to put the second lift of asphalt out there, and he never did. Well, my clients agreed that if we move forward, we will overlay that from Walker Farm North all the way down to 50th Street. I don't know if you heard that in the back of it, about the asphalt, we're gonna pave those roads that never got paved by the original developer.
Okay.
That was part of the approval.
Hey, this is Dave. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
The site that you're building on, was it not once where debris was dumped?
I'm not aware of that, sir.
Because I lived on Shaw Road, and that was all excavated at one time. If I'm not mistaken, there was debris put in that front part. I think it was owned by the Rays.
Yeah.
So my question is, are we doing any core drilling to make sure that we're building homes on something that's gonna sustain
Yes, sir.
for many years?
Yes, sir. The builders do some soil sampling out there. They'll do some core, some bores. And, but yeah, I have not heard there was trash. And I do know that they robbed dirt on it, and it's gonna have to be bladed and all that, because it's all over the place out there. But it'll be bladed and shaped and formed to meet. I've been with Reed in the engineering department. We've had that discussion. But yeah, it'll all be smooth bladed out, and making sure that there's no debris under this property.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that there's a core drill, because I'm 99% sure that was a pit, and it was a pit 100%.
Yes.
But what they dumped in it, I don't know. But I know for a fact that there was stuff brought in there and offloaded, and then it was covered up. And that's why nothing ever is built there for so long. It's my understanding. And then now we're going to put residential homes on top of it. I just want to make sure that these people who are buying these homes don't run into issues from 10 to 15 years from now, because everything under the ground is settling, and now they have problems.
Yeah. The potential home builder requires that you do compaction tests and making sure that none of that will happen. So that'll come along with this project. So, but I'll go ahead and tell you that I'll expedite that and have those cores done to ensure that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sorry, since Dan brought that up, does the DEQ check for any, he says we don't know what was dumped there after Katrina. Is there any hazardous things? Is MDEQ has to
Right.
check or green light that it's safe for humans and animals? If we don't know what was in there?
I mean, we don't have to submit anything to DEQ on that nature, but, once you do the cores, you'll know what's down there. If there's any, I don't know, I've
Yeah.
not heard that, I'm sorry, but.
So the cores will check for that too?
Yes.
Environmental quality, not just the structure that it can sustain the
Yes.
homes? Okay.
Yes. I've,
So I'll make a motion to table it just for 1 week.
That's fine.
And I appreciate your patience.
No problem.
I second that.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move to, that was item 21. We'll move to 22. Order approving subdivision application for Riverton Place subdivision, Phase 1, voting District 2.
Motion.
Discussion. This is basically just an extension of Robinwood Forest, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. No discussion? All in favor?
I have a real good comment on that one, if I can make it in front of Pat.
What's that?
So, this development was kind of held up for, we had to put sprinklers on 100 and something lots, and, back then, the rule was under 150 lots, you didn't need to sprinkle. Well, that rule changed. Well, now we have a connecting piece of property that's gonna make a big loop in there, and we're gonna not be able to do sprinklers in there. So I wanted to let you know that. I don't know if you heard that or not, but, we're gonna be able to make a loop all around into, Robinwood Village. And so, anyway, I thought that'd be a good note, because nobody wants a sprinkler in their house.
Correct.
Except the fire.
So you know that.
I know.
Item 23, order accepting the maintenance of the following road for Virginia Ridge subdivision, Supervisor voting District 2.
Motion.
Discussion. All in favor? Okay, 24, order authorizing and approving the board president to execute the LCNOI large construction notice of intent for Bells Ferry.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Order accepting and approving the attached change rider for performance and payment bond number 74-73-715 for MCWI ARPA Beach Outfalls project. $3,709,336.03.
Motion to discuss. What is it?
When we put that project out to bid, we set it up where it would have, the intent was to have 3 work orders in the best time of the year to work. And so we issued the first work order with a bond in that amount. And the way that they're able to do work, they can continue year round. So we're just gonna take that 1 work order, make it the full value of the contract, and the bonds have to go with it.
So they work the year, they're gonna work the year.
And so we're increasing the bond amount to the full contract rather than the first work order, and the bond paperwork requires a board signature.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Order authorizing and approving change order number 1 with LG Construction for the Fire Tower Road Sewer System improvements for a total change order increase of $24,890.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Order authorizing and approving change order number 1 with Holiday Construction for the Herman Ladner Road Extension for a total of $1,792.55 and add an additional 30 days.
That's a decrease, right?
It's a decrease.
Oh, I'm
because
sorry.
Yes, it's a decrease because they're also removing quantities. We had estimated more than what was actually needed. So as we took those out, the value of this change actually almost is a wash.
All right. Have a motion and a second. Discussion, all in favor?
Second.
Yeah, Rebecca was second.
Thank you.
28, order authorizing and approving change order number 1 with CB Developers for the Pineville Sewer Project, an increase by total of $19,945. And it's covered by grant funds.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Can I ask a question first?
Yes.
Are we getting, is the county getting an easement for these?
We're doing, rights of entry specific to the location of it as we've done in the past.
And the pattern was,
Yes, it's a recorded easement with the right of entry to do the work.
okay.
We're actually hooking those houses up then, is what you're saying?
Yes.
If you remember, the MDQ required the county to own the right of way and where the septic tank was too.
Right.
So that's why I was asking, a little bit confusing when I read it, I suppose I remember getting that or not. So you actually need an easement to go maintain. Okay.
All right, we have a motion, we already voted on this, correct? Okay. 29, order rescinding approval of the cooperative equipment agreement with Mississippi Forestry Commission granted on May 5th, 2025.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Number 30, order authorizing and approving the county administrator to transfer a total of $11,078 to account number 001520918 from the following accounts due to prior miscoding.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Road Department, and I wanna, add something on here. It was too late for the agenda, but I want to make a motion to, give me 1 second. To give approval for JP Morrow, the Assistant Road Manager for, District 5, and James Stringer, Superintendent, District 1, for take-home vehicles. That's something that wasn't able to get on the agenda, but with us being in the middle of storm season and stuff, these guys need to be on the list. So, I'd like to make that motion.
So you amend the agenda first.
Right.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Motion to amend the
Make a
agenda.
motion to amend the agenda.
The consideration of the road department, personnel.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and second discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Now we need a motion to, allow these two gentlemen for take-home vehicles.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move to item 31. Order concurring with the road manager on employment as listed on file with the payroll clerk and human resources.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Order approving the amendment of the effective date of employment for the following individual.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Order authorizing and approving the issuance of a beach event permit as listed.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item 35, order concurring with the county administrator on employment as listed as on file with the payroll clerk and human resources.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Order designating the following.
Motion.
Discussion? Oh, I need a second.
Second.
Sorry. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Order designating the chancery clerk, purchase clerk, or respective designees of Harrison County to receive bids for the Harrison County Diversion Center and Health Department.
Motion.
Okay, we have a first, Mr. Jones, second, Mr. Ladner. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Order awarding the bid for the beach outfall improvements Go Mesa project to the lowest and best responsive bidder, Gulf Breeze Construction, for a total amount of $1,454,694.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion?
That's,
It's Go Mesa.
Go Mesa, Sand Beach. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Order accepting the low competitive bid from Greg Butler to paint interior wall door jambs and existing doors at Success Community Center in the amount of $3,990.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Order accepting the bid for Calder Company LLC in the amount of $182,000 for the construction of the Isaiah Fredericks Ball Field Concession Building.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Order accepting the lowest and best proposal from Guarantee Restoration in a total amount of $450,450 to clean the air ducts at the Harrison County Adult Detention Facility as recommended by the Sheriff's Office Comptroller.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Order accepting the only bid received from Coastal Cruising LLC for the beach vending site rental P2 West.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Order authorizing advertisement to receive bids for the beach vending rental site, B8.
Motion.
Discussion, I'm sorry, first by Mr. Ladner, second by Kent. Discussion? All in favor? Order approving the second lowest quote purchase from the Expert Installation LLC in the amount of $7,969.36.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? You
Just
wanna
for-
re- go ahead.
just, to cover the, I'm sorry, did we cover the, one on reference to the Corps of Engineers agreement to replenish the, we hadn't covered that yet?
I thought we'd already done that.
What, do you know what number that was?
I'm looking.
I don't know how I missed that. I had some,
Okay, we can go back.
have we covered that?
I saw it on here.
I
It's
think
on
that's
the
gonna be-
agenda, I'm not sure I covered it.
With that, is that under yours, Jackie?
No, that would be,
Oh, on the sand beach?
it'd be Trey.
One second.
Well, go ahead, let's go ahead, if we hit it, fine, don't lie, I just need to.
All right, I want to recognize Sheriff Representative.
Council at the adult detention center, we have 791 inmates,
It's gonna be.
660 males, 131 females. 92 of those are misdemeanors, 12 federal inmates,
Yeah.
168 state inmates, 54 of those are ready to go. We have 14 juveniles at the adult detention center and 9 at the juvenile detention. 8 of those are Harrison County and 1 are Hancock.
Thank you. Anything else?
That's the agreement with the Corps of Engineers, I think it's coming up.
Okay, under the board agenda, okay. Number 46, order adjudicating and approving the filing of applications for fiscal year 2027 Tidelands funding for floating jet docks.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Order spreading upon the minutes the personnel changes of the sheriff's office as listed on file with payroll clerk and human resources.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Order approving lease agreement between Harrison County and Creosote Road LLC for real property located at 14301 Creosote Road, Gulfport, and authorizing board president to execute all documents.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Order authorizing the replenishment of the transport petty cash in the name of Christian Otis in the amount of $1,552.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Order authorizing the replenishment of petty cash by money account in the name of Robert Drace, Narcotics Division, in the amount of $3,970 to bring the account balance to the approved amount of $6,000.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. Just quick, that's to buy drugs, like undercover, okay. Just- So we're approving our guys to buy drugs. Good deal. All right, all in favor?
That's what they do.
Order authorizing reimbursement of $52.30 to the sheriff's department account for repairs to fire service vehicles.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Order authorizing the following purchase from the sheriff's federal forfeiture account.
Motion. Second.
Jinx.
You got that.
2 motions and 2 seconds, so.
Perfect time. At the same exact time. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 53, order authorizing the disposal of assets per the attached list.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Order authorizing and approving the following added to take-home vehicle list.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Order adjudicating and approving travel for Ronnie Davis to attend a one-day burn injury awareness class at MSFA on June 17, 2025 in Jackson.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Order approving travel as listed.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Order approving the purchase from Brookway Court of a 2025 Nissan Frontier for the Community Civic Center at a total cost of $34,529 on the state contract.
Motion.
Second, the only discussion, why would the civic center need a four-wheel drive pickup truck? Community, what are they, what?
Answer that.
Yes, ma'am.
She didn't want a four-wheel drive. She was trying to get one in that they had in stock, and they happened to have one available, but it was four-wheel drive. But they didn't have the one that wasn't.
Okay.
And she wanted to go ahead and get it in this year.
Take what?
What's on
Yeah,
the
it has to
state
be in
contract?
stock.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Order approving the request of Coast Electric Power Association.
I'm sorry, which community center? It says Civic Community Center?
That's
It's
for
It's
all of
probably,
them.
for all
it's
of
probably because she's in. yeah.
Who's she? What do we, who?
Diane, we
Oh,
had some
okay.
vehicles
Yeah.
kind of go down on us.
Okay.
Number 58, order approving the request for Coast Electric to use the Harrison County soccer fields on county farm, including the limestone parking area, for equipment and material staging for the hurricane season.
Motion.
Second.
The only discussion, I think there was some issues with that, Bobby, but Bobby.
Been cleared up.
It's been cleared up?
The language was removed.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a motion and a second, right?
Yes.
On that, okay. 59, order authorizing reimbursement to the road fund account.
Motion.
Have a
Marlon,
motion?
second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Order authorizing reimbursement of $30.13 to the sheriff's department for repairs to fire service vehicles.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Order authorizing payment of the following claims payable from the tort account.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Order approving payment of the following claims.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Order authorizing issuance of duplicate warrant for $29,179.80 to Divco Data Diversified Companies.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 64, order accepting Blue Ribbon Committee member nomination of Magdalena Holland to serve for a 2-year term.
Motion.
Second.
There we go again.
All in, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Order authorizing and approving the cancellation of Magnolia Gulf Holdings LLC for the purchase of the old D'Iberville Police Department.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion,
Just real quick on that. So that's the D'Iberville PD. It has been under contract. They have backed out of it multiple times, multiple purchasers. We did get an appraisal on that. I'm hearing we may have another person making an offer, but we just cannot seem to get that sold.
all right?
That building is set for 3 years and it's in bad shape.
And people
Gone
had
bad.
broke into it and made it even worse. All right, any discussion? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Order adjudicating and approving the filing of applications for fiscal year 2027 Tidelands funding for the following projects.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Order approving property usage and indemnity agreement between St. Thomas the Apostle Catholic Church and Harrison County for real property.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Order adjudicating the tax sale of August 26, 2024.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Okay.
State the record, it's, according to the tax assessor for there, and appraisal by the authorized.
Okay, have a first and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Order adjudicating the tax sales of August 28, 2023 and August 26, 2024 for 2022 and 23 taxes as erroneous and thus void ab initio.
And these are tax exempt properties, according to the tax assessor.
Okay,
Do you need
we need a motion.
Motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Order approving an agreement for construction of pickleball courts at the Bobby Elliott Terrace Sports Complex in D'Iberville with Busby Construction.
Motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor? Order authorizing and approving the construction of an additional parking area and the resurfacing of existing parking areas at Pineville Elementary School pursuant to the terms of the interlocal government cooperation agreement between the county and the Harrison County School District.
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor? Order authorizing and approving the construction of an additional parking area and assistance with improvements to the roadways, car rider line, and the existing parking lots at Lyman Elementary School pursuant to the terms of the interlocal government cooperation agreement between the county and Harrison County Schools.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Order approving project partnership agreement between the Department of the Army and the Harrison County, Mississippi for the Harrison County portion of the coastwide beach and dune ecosystem restoration.
Motion.
Second.
Motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Ladner,
Yeah.
a second by
Just some
Mr. Pelham.
procedural issues with this. Who's gonna issue the bids on that? Does that go to the Corps of Engineers, or does the county issue the bids for that replenishment?
The Corps would be issued the bids.
The Corps will issue the bids? Carrie, do they actually go out for bids, Walt, or do they have a list of already pre-bidders that they select from to do that? I'm just curious.
I'm not exactly sure on that. From my understanding with conversations with David Newell, who kind of oversees the project, is they go through the process of requesting bids. I don't think they have a set list.
So they actually go, the Corps itself actually goes out for bids?
I believe so.
We can verify that. We got a new
Verify
project
that.
manager.
Yeah, I read the agreement. Well, what we're doing is approving the agreement that we have with them. And I am curious as to how the bid process works on that. But they will be doing that. They will be issuing the bids.
They will.
Thank you.
Asplund may be doing it.
Pardon?
I said Asplund may be doing it.
Yeah. I was just curious if they already had, my understanding, they might have had a list of pre-bidders, and I was curious to see how that worked out.
We can confirm with David.
Yeah.
Because I'm not certain. I don't think there's a list, but there very well could be. I could have misunderstood.
Also, do we have any idea when that's going to occur? When the actual bid, when they go out for bids and have, what I'm trying to determine is when, to the best of our knowledge, will that process start? Will they actually start replenishing the beach?
Based on previous conversations, I believe around October.
Around
was
October?
Their estimated start date. So I think that would align with initiating the bid process here in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Trish and I had a meeting over at Tim's office around that, and we have received our funds from our bond to fund that. They want that in one lump sum, September, is that right, Walt?
Yeah.
And then they will start October timeframe, and that's based upon they kind of want to get out of storm season, low floods in fall, things like that.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
we are having a lot of discussion and continuing conversations with David on that and transferring our funding over, and we're paid, and ready to go.
Go ready. Good.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, all in favor? Item number 74, order approving memorandum of agreement between Harrison County and Jonathan Hopkins for property located at 8272 Texas Avenue.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Order adjudicating the employment of Tim C. Holloman and Boyce Holloman and Associates to represent Harrison County and A. Norris Hopkins Jr. and Hopkins Barbie and Hopkins PLLC to represent Harrison County Sheriff's Department as listed.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Order denying the claim of Noah Langford seeking damages alleged to have resulted from a motor vehicle accident which occurred on Rodriguez Street near Boney Avenue and the I-110 South off-ramp in the city of D'Iberville on around April 4th, 2025.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Order denying the claim of Felix D. Rankin seeking damages alleged to have resulted from a motor vehicle accident which occurred on Canal Road at 16th Street in the city of Gulfport on or about June 26, 2024.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Order approving the use of the West Harrison ball fields by Camp Awesome to host a kickball tournament fundraiser October 25th.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
I
Order-
just want to say, as a mother of a child with special needs, this is for adults and children, and we really thank Camp Awesome. And if you hear of them, really try to support them. They're trying to get their legs under them. So I just want to thank everyone involved with Camp Awesome.
Order adjudicating and approving the temporary use of county equipment by the Mississippi Coast Coliseum and Convention Center needing to assist in hosting Scraping the Coast activities June 20th through the 23rd.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Order approving the temporary use of county equipment and advertising and promotional participation in the 2025 Biloxi Seafood Festival on September 13th, 2025.
Motion.
Which one again?
This is number 80.
80.
This is approving the use of our equipment and advertising and promotional participation for the Seafood Festival on September
Why are they
13th.
together? Is this
Yeah.
financial and our equipment?
Two
or-
of them.
Yes. it
Usually we
is.
separate the,
Yeah.
So it's a $5,000 request,
but then what equipment are they asking for?
and that's coming from the chamber.
So we need to separate.
The stage.
The stage.
They're requesting the stage is the equipment.
I don't have any the reason that.
You wanna vote on these?
Right, we have no problem. It needs to be separate.
Yeah, I think they should be separate. Yes, I agree.
So, do we need to amend the agenda or just, vote on these two items separately?
You need to
I would-
vote separately because the
Yeah.
80 does not cover advertising county resources.
Okay, we'll vote on first the order of approving promotional participation for the stage.
Well, let's do equipment if you don't mind,
Okay.
And use of
because we're
equipment.
fine with that.
Okay, approving the temporary use of county equipment.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Discussion, all in favor? Now, do we need to move this other down to the
Yes.
last one?
You can if you want to.
Okay,
Just
so
add-
we will move, the, request for assistance underneath item 82.
For advertising county resources.
Yes, okay. Order authorizing expenditures as listed as necessary to advertise and bring into favorable notice opportunities, possibilities, and resources of Harrison County, including all forms of advertising, including but not limited to broadcast advertising, logo recognition, and other media, and all broadcast printed material and signage.
Okay.
Motion.
Somebody,
Second.
Discussion.
on the seafood festival, is that totally an open thing, or are we doing that to the city of Biloxi, or is that a?
This is a
No,
request, this is a
The
request from the
Seafood
chamber,
Festival will be open to everyone.
but it's a request from the chamber, not the city.
That's right.
But it's a free event to the public.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Thank you.
Did we get the right one?
81, we missed 81.
Okay, we'll go, can we vote on 82 first and then go
Yeah,
back
let's
to
see.
it? Okay. All right, and we were moving, okay,
80.
okay.
What I'm gonna ask you to do is vote separate.
Yeah, because there's, okay, so we need to go back to 81 because there's another request for
Okay.
assistance in that as well. Okay. 81, order approving and advertising and promotional participation in Gulf Coast Carnival Association's Mardi Gras 2026. And this is requesting $5,000. So do we need to just move that underneath 82?
I go ahead and vote separately, otherwise it's gonna get confusing. You need to have magic language in there too. It's necessary to advertise and bring in the favorable notice, opportunity, possibility, resource of the county.
Okay. So this is for 81. I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Now, what do we?
This is
This is
voting
for the
on,
Mardi Gras
for
parade,
Mardi
for
Gras.
GCCA that's open to the public. 5,000 for Mardi Gras.
No, I'm no on that.
Okay, Dan, are you a yes or no?
Yeah, yes, I'm in.
Okay, so 81 is 4-1. Mr. Ladner's in opposition. Okay. Now 82, we have a motion and a second.
You want to take up those individually, or?
They take all of them on that.
On this one, we'll take all, but, and we moved the second part of 80 into this as well. Okay, any discussion?
Got it covered.
All in favor? Aye.
Don't fit it up.
All right.
No.
And he's,
Your name?
yeah, he's
On
a,
the three listed under there, no.
Okay.
all right. Mr. Holloman, do you have anything?
Yes, we need to go back. Tricia noticed that the board discussed advertising for bids for the diversion center, but you never actually voted to authorize the advertisement.
What-
So we need an order authorizing and ratifying the advertisement of bids for the diversion center. Just to
This
make sure
was
it's covered.
under what number?
It'd be 37, where you, it's actually a prior board meeting. I'm just making sure it's covered.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, it was a prior board meeting?
Prior board meeting where y'all voted to, well, let me take it back, you discussed advertising, authorized to advertise bids, and then y'all went off and to start talking about who was gonna be in there. So it never got voted on.
Okay.
Okay, so we need a motion. Do we need to amend the agenda?
You need a, no, I think you just do a new order authorizing and ratifying the issuance of advertisement for bid for the diversion center.
Okay, I
So
need a-
moved.
I need a motion.
Second.
Second.
Just,
Any discussion?
Discussion, only discussion, the architect has all the
Yes.
specifications.
And this is just out of caution.
Yeah.
I think it was broad enough to cover it, but Tricia didn't disagree with it, so
Okay.
I said, let's just
What
redo
happened
it.
is Dave
From
Hart
the previous meeting.
is taking the bid process. He went ahead and sent it out for advertisement. Once we saw the
It's already been
advertisement,
advertised.
that raised the question, did we ever approve
I
for
got you.
advertisement?
So the advertisement's been issued, we just.
The
I
board,
guess
the
we-
board discussed it.
Could we just, well, we didn't,
You did discuss it, and then you drifted off and discussed about who was gonna be where, and it never got, it wasn't clear if it was voted on or not. I think it was probably okay either way, but to make sure we
It's just-
ratify and authorize the advertisement bid, which has already been done. We covered it.
Those open next week, is that why?
good, that's good.
Okay. We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Everything else.
All right, anything else? You have anything? Dan, do you have anything?
No, so just want to say thank y'all, and I hope y'all have a good day.
All right, you too.
Thank you, Dan.
I don't have anything. I do have something real quick. Jackie, where are we at? I know that our contract on our debris cleanup has expired, and we're in the middle of hurricane season. Where are we at on getting bids out, or an RFP or RFQ or whatever for bids?
I've been working on it and emergencies keep popping up and distracting me, so it's
Okay.
95% ready to go out for bid.
Okay. We just need to get that done because we don't want to get caught and have a storm and not have someone under contract, because then we're at their mercies on what we get charged. So if we can get that out as soon as possible to get the bids in on that. That's all I have.
And the only comment I have is, it's funny that Buc-ee's was brought up today, because I've had probably 6 people in the last 2 weeks echo exactly what that gentleman was saying. 2 of them were my family from Louisiana, saying about the
It's a
traffic.
problem.
So 2 people asked about a red light, but I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there, I'm just passing on the word that there's been a lot of problems with
I
traffic
don't know if the
there.
red light.
Yeah, they're novices, they don't know, I'm just saying, you know.
It's-
I've had several people talk
Certain
about the
times
horrific
during the
traffic.
day, it's worse.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
came
the
through there
morning.
last Saturday on my way in from the New Orleans airport, and it was 10 minutes getting off the interstate heading east to get into the parking lot. So it's definitely a congested area, but anything that's done is not at our discretion.
It's
gonna be.
MDOT.
And I know that people say we can do whatever, but MDOT is not the easiest department to work with.
Yeah, as far as interstate, but the roundabout that we're talking about, that is county.
I think we took the TIF off, but took the TIF out, but anything that is connected to that exit ramp for a certain amount of feet is under the jurisdiction of MDOT.
I'm
Isn't
not
that
sure
correct?
within that- I'm not sure, is it?
All the county did was provide finance.
Yeah, I think that anything within a certain
So the
distance,
roundabout north of there, you think is MDOT also?
I don't know, but I know for a
That's what
certain
I'm saying,
distance.
the roundabout, is out of the normal footage that would be,
It's the
MDOT's
county's?
responsibility from the
So the
interstate. It's out of the normal footage, I don't know if would the TIF have anything? to
No,
do
she
with
said
it?
that it is the county's.
It
Jackie
was
just
built
said that.
pursuant to the
Yeah.
a permit issued by MDOT to the contractor through Bucky's. Roundabout was built through that contract, I'm pretty sure.
So that would put that roundabout under the jurisdiction of MDOT?
It's under that contract. You know, county we had our own engineer kind of monitor things.
Yeah, Jackie,
We didn't design it.
No, we didn't design it, it was all done under that same contract that did all the road work, including Bucky's Boulevard and connecting to Fire Tower, but the roundabout was done under a county permit, and it's.
So it is under
So
our
the roundabout
jurisdiction,
is
not
under the
MDOT's.
county.
Roundabout is in the county.
I
The
did this
property that
morning.
was acquired to get it in there was easements that were given to the county.
Okay.
I did this morning, just pull stats on Bucky's, just so happened. Just a comparison, the month before they opened up, we had 69 calls for service in that intersection. The first month they were open, we had 261 calls for service, so.
4 times as
Yeah,
much.
so that could be anything, that's including the calls at Bucky's now, but also accidents. I think we had, 8 more accidents. We had 0 in the month of May, and then we've had 8 in the month of June in that intersection, so. Yeah, which a lot of that's expected, it's.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know how to use a
But
roundabout.
I do think that roundabout, the roundabout is the problem.
It's,
I'm gonna tell you that. There are red lights directing that traffic off the interstate and back on the interstate, but it's the roundabout that's causing the problem. Simply put, Fred, and you can, when cars going north to enter the roundabout to go into Bucky's, they're constantly. And the traffic coming north to the south can't get into the roundabout.
the distance between exits off the roundabout is so small that if a car is going north up Fire Tower, there's not really enough time before the next car for the southbound to get in.
That's right, that's.
that is a
And
problem.
it's steady.
I guess what I'm
steady
saying
traffic.
is, if the roundabout is our jurisdiction, we really need to seriously look at some engineering to see what can be done to expedite that traffic.
This is just a suggestion, I spoke to Tim about it. The only caveat to this is, without studying the backup coming off the interstate, but if you could get a temporary light even to stop the, northbound traffic going in the circle for just a period of 30 seconds every now and then and flush that southbound lane, it would alleviate a lot. The problem is not what's coming off the interstate as of now, it's the residents.
Are getting stuck,
Are getting
yeah,
stuck.
and that's
The
what.
residents coming north to south is
Yes.
getting, is the problem. And somehow or another, if we could get the traffic getting into the roundabout, coming 2 Bucky's could be yield or stop to give them a chance to go, that would help. So we need to look at some way.
Is it 1 lane
To
or
do
2
that.
lanes?
There's 2 lanes
It's
in
2
there,
lanes.
but it's essentially 1 lane because it's so small.
That's
We're just
correct.
using both lanes.
Well, let's explore his suggestion.
Really?
It could be that
So,
simple.
I know traffic.
And I think that may have to be a dual deal with MDOT, because it would be backing up, like put some kind of light up would be backing people up into the MDOT interchange too, so it'd probably have to be something that was discussed with them as well.
Who designed it, Jack?
Bucky's engineer.
I know, but who was that?
No, they're the contractors,
Why don't we reach out to,
He's
before
already-
authorize
he's
Jackie to
already
reach out to the engineers who designed it and say, look, y'all need to look at this.
That's a good idea.
There's a few other considerations also. There's obviously the highest, heaviest traffic is because it's new and it will slow down some. Another consideration about stopping traffic inside a roundabout is, in my opinion, we're just getting the traction of teaching people how to use roundabouts. And once you're in the circle, you have to ride
In effect, you're making an intersection there, rather than continuous flow. If you
Right.
put anything that stops traffic in the roundabout, you actually, for all practical purposes, putting in an intersection.
Right.
a normal intersection.
Only more confusing because there's a circle in it.
That's right.
People
There's a circle
panic,
in
they
that
panic when they
intersection.
see it. You go to Airport
Another-
Road, which is a good roundabout,
That's a
and
big
you watch people
one.
go through there, they're like, it's just, you know.
Another option, like if you're dealing with individuals who are doing this on a regular basis, if they were to get off on Bucky's Boulevard and just go through the parking lot, they'll be getting on the roundabout
Yeah,
after.
from the other
From
side.
the other side, so it's
Wow.
inconvenient, but if it's a super high traffic period where they're waiting 10, 20 minutes to get on there,
A lot of people are doing that now, the residents are getting off, and cutting through the parking lot, which just creates more congestion for the cars trying to get into the
That's
parking lot. So it's just bumper to bumper in the parking lot the same way. And really, that's only on the weekends for the most part.
And if I were in that intersection and it's really jammed up, I would probably take that Bucky's Boulevard to LaBouille and just take you about 5, 10 minutes long, and go down and go back the other way. But you have to be knowledgeable of this.
So we're authorizing Jackie to reach out to the Buc-ee's people and ask.
tell them that we're having some serious problems with that and see if they can come up.
Yeah, let's start doing something to look at this.
And that's all.
How you like that? Something.
They will come up with something and then I'll talk to them about it.
Yeah, sounds like that definition of form.
Or such as.
So just to,
And such.
just to put into perspective how many people are going there, I know the guy that cooks the brisket. And the first Friday.
Why don't you
cooks the
have
brisket.
some parts?
And the first Friday that they were open, each brisket comes partially cooked from their farm or whatever, and every one of them's 9 pounds to 12 pounds. And on the first Friday that they were open, they cooked 996 of those. So that's over 10,000 pounds of brisket on one Friday.
Wow.
And it's good, too, it's Friday.
On
Yeah.
an official report that 2 Saturdays ago, they made, 800,000 in the store, not counting fuel savings.
Yeah, it's unbelievable the amount of people.
And I appreciate what Jackie said. It's new, it'll slow down, but I don't know. Buc-ee's is a phenomenon. I think it'll stay pretty darn
And
busy.
the
for its life.
corridor that we're on is, I mean, it's the busiest, you know, in the nation. All right, Mr. Ladner?
Yeah, let me ask you, what kind of problem, what's the procedure to change a name, on a street? And how difficult is it?
It's not difficult, the board just decides what the name is. No.
Is- And I know when you start changing names of streets, you better be careful, but this was probably gonna be an easy one. I think there's only one resident on it, maybe 2. And I just wanna know,
I think the board could just simply change the name, now you have to notify 911,
yeah,
there are issues with that, but, then the people on the roadway make it upset.
so it's really not that much of an issue then.
Not that big of a problem procedurally.
Pat?
The only thing you have to really consider is the 911. You know, we have control of that, so that shouldn't be a problem. But I don't know about mail delivery, if that changes.
Yeah, the
Well,
postal
that's
service.
another thing, postal service, if there's notification,
It does, I mean, you send them the board order, they follow that, that's not a big deal.
And then Google Maps, you just make them aware too, Pat?
Yeah, just like any new street you have, it gets named,
Yeah.
the board accepts it, comes to name.
That's really a GIS question versus a fire. I don't know, but yes, ma'am, I think GIS can cover that.
okay, thank you. I just wanted to know, possibility I'll be coming back for that.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right.
I need just a few minutes in executive session on personnel matter and mosquito control. I need to bring y'all up to speed.
Okay. We'll go ahead to you, see if you have anything. All right, I need a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matter as well as, what else? Just personnel, okay?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?